insane. Yeah, for my broken heart, no remedy. But maybe if you stay, we can get away with it. 'Cause you make me love my imperfections, answer all my questions, just to show me what's on the other side of inhibition. No apologies, my baby. I do you do 'cause I'm feeling so good. Ooh. I do you do 'cause I'm feeling so good. Oh, my darkest memories, now let me fall back. But you'll be there, ready to rescue me if I go out of track. We can get away with it. 'Cause you make me love my imperfections, answer all my questions, just to show me what's on the other side of inhibition. No apologies, my baby. I do you do 'cause I'm feeling so good.
Hello one, hello all, and welcome to another edition of Counter's Casual Competition. Let's stick the lights on because apparently I forgot in all of the shenanigans that's going on that we should be shedding some light on the situation. There we go, much better. My name is Counterfeit, of course, joined today by NIT3STAR on the commentary desk. NIT3STAR, how do you feel coming here for the first time in all of history?
It's a pleasure to be on my first TFT casting stream. I've always been really wanting to do a TFT stream, so I'm glad I could reconnect with you, Pete, and here we are. Hopefully casting some great TFT games.
Yeah, so we've got ourselves a couple of lobbies of players raring to go for the first of the 3 rounds of play today. So with this being a very casual competition for anyone who's coming to the stream for the first time, or indeed the tournament for the first time, the idea here is that you can kind of play a competition but not worry necessarily too much about how well you do, because most of our prizes will be given away to participants under non-competitive situations. So a lot of them are just random, some of them are based on whether or not you provide a stream for the tournament or feedback. So yeah, you don't need to worry about coming first. That's only a relatively small part of the prize pool here today. I know, so NIT3STAR, how many, have you been in that experience yourself of kind of getting into high pressure tournament situations?
I mean, I myself haven't actually participated in the tournaments myself, but I've definitely watched more than enough of them, and being a competitive player in, I've played team sports, so you definitely get the pressure situations, so I can understand some of what these players are going through.
Alright, so I think we've got our first lobby's worth of players set up. So how we do this is that we use multi-stream to be able to catch all of the players' streams, which is why I'm setting it up at the moment, and that will allow us. Yes, hopefully. So I think we've actually got a good amount of players here today. So that's why one of our giveaways today is based on providing the stream to the tournament, because while the spectator mode has kind of nominally been unveiled for TFT as of Worlds, it's definitely not going to be available, I think, for general use in the near future, if indeed for quite a way down the line. So let's just see how our lobby is doing. While we're doing that, actually, NIT3STAR, how are you feeling about TFT at the moment? What's good, you reckon?
Well, this week there were a lot of changes, right? Because we had the recent patch. Draconics got buffed up the wazoo, extremely fun to play if you do hit 5 Draconics. But you also have to hit 5 Draconics with some HP. Now, the other changes, Kled got nerfed. Let me try to recall a couple things. A-Bomb got buffed, so I think one of the sleepers is just trying to utilize A-Bomb in a couple different ways besides just the traditional A-Bomb Spellweaver combination, because you can technically play something like a Draven because of the Legionnaire synergy. You could probably even play a little bit of Aphelios. Just have that really big front line, at least for kind of a transitional phase. And then of course what was my thing? I did play 5 Draconics start of patch day, and I got 4 Heimer 2s in 2 games. So when you hit this comp, it is insanely high roll with the possibilities. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I believe that the Draconic, particularly you said Draconic 5, getting a fairly significant buffs in the latest patch. I mean, it's being called, perhaps slightly derisively, the For Fun patch before we move on to the next set, but I guess that's not exactly inaccurate, because, of course, Worlds has already been played out, we've already got our winner there. So, in terms of competitive play, we're definitely much in the waiting room for, I'm trying to remember what it was called, the Mecha Minions? No, that's the board game. Something like that, which will be our next set.
Yeah, we are winding down, of course. It is definitely different as competitive season is over, and really the only thing left to play for is if you're trying to hit or grind up ranks. Although I will say that I did forget, they added second Radiant item, which is also extremely fun. And I think it brings a lot of interesting changes, because you can technically then double Radiant one of your big carries, or you can double Radiant a big frontline tank. So it gives you a lot of different options, and given that a lot of tank items also have a lot of bonus stats with health regen, you can get a really robust Galio or A-Bomb very easily.
That's true. I haven't really been seeing people to go for the double defensive Radiant item, because the possibilities of having a double Radiant Abomination or carry seem like they are very strong. But you're right. It feels like a change for the positive. I haven't seen people kind of getting angry about it as a change, which is normally a good sign that people are kind of a bit mixed. So yeah, it's exciting times, and of course the most important change of all being that we can now visit each other's boards, hang out, and spam emotes at each other, which is, I feel like that's the difference maker that TFT was holding out for all this time.
Yeah, of course. That was a real big change, and just being able to enable everyone to go spam emotes on each other's boards. But it does make scouting a little bit more difficult, because when you do try and scout an opponent's board, you do also give away the information that you are indeed on their board. So, just a little something just to keep track of. Although end game, 1v1, might as well just spend all your time on their board instead.
All right. I've just realized what was going on. Would you mind muting yourself in OBS Ninja? Because I realized that's why we're hearing you twice. Sorry, that was a mistake on my part. I should have asked that. All right, so we've got 5.
Sometimes we forget that.
Yes, it's very easy to do so. So we've got Mr. Blob. Mr. Blob. I'm so used to casting with Improbable Blob, I just say Blob everywhere I go. So Mr. Duck, Emmy Louie, Extreme Ways, Way Too Slick, and Shocky to check out. So we'll be hopping between POVs. We are very much spoiled in our first lobby to have 5 different POVs to choose from. And as the guest, NIT3STAR, who would you like to start with?
Uh, let's go look behind door number 3.
All right, that's going to be Extreme Ways 1. Let's see what they've got for us here. So, looks like they've got a decent mix of different item types here with the chain vest, the bow, and the tier, though, to me at least, it doesn't seem like an immediately obvious way to go.
Yeah, there's nothing too direct here, although he does pre-level here, and that's really just to try and attempt to hit one of those Draconic units, because he did hit Set and the Udyr, which if you do manage to land on that, that's really great. Be able to just get 2-1 Draconics, always really fun to play at that point. And here he will most likely get in that Kha'Zix. He's just looking for a spot to try and snipe backline units. Putting it in late just in case anyone actually goes out and scout. So really cool there. We'll see if he decides to slam anything. If he wants to play more of an AP composition, you're looking at getting an early Sunfire. If he wants to play some sort of Ziggs carry, if he manages to hit like a lot of Ziggs in the next coming rounds, you can go ahead slam Shiv. It is pretty strong on that champ.
Let's do a little bit of filling around and see if we can make things look a little bit nicer on the stream itself. All right, so let's. I'm going to take my choice this time and go across to Emmy Louie and see what they are up to, as they've stuck at level 3 during the opening parts of this game, so they have taken their first loss, but they've gotten a very, very early Riven to be able to play with, and it looks like they've got some AD items if they want to try and pursue that angle.
Yeah, and the options here is going to decide what kind of frontline item she's going to build here, as she does go for the belt, which means most likely you're going to get Sunfire in this instance. Also had the option to get Gargoyle. Both items are completely fine. However, I would say Gargoyle, slightly better scaling, whereas Sunfire really allows you to establish a lot of early game presence, being able to do that extra damage and hopefully take an extra unit or 2 out.
You can see what the Squishy Knight has gone for here. So, of course, we all lived in the shadow of Kled most recently. I think people, might slightly be overstating the level of impact from that initial early success at Worlds to dropping off the map a little bit. They've certainly, as you mentioned, had some pretty heavy nerfs. So Kled getting nerfed, the Hellion trait as a whole, especially at 6 and 8, getting the legs taken out from under it. I mean, where do you stand with them currently? Is it still a comp that you would be excited to get?
I think there has to be a lot more conditions to be able to run that composition. Ironically enough, right before I got together on stream with you, I played a Kledge game. And I actually went first.
Interesting.
So, the comp itself, if you hit all the components, because I did hit Hellion Spat, I also hit 7 Kleds in like before stage or before 2-4 or something like that. You can definitely still run the composition, but again, there's a lot more conditions because of the nerfs.
Yeah, I suppose that's been the case for a lot of our comps, isn't it? That post nerf, then it's just the smaller window of opportunity arises. Way too slick. Going for the early vein, another victim of the nerf bat in the most recent patch, though I guess somewhat like Kled, though to a lesser extent, a matter of degree nerf rather than a fundamental change to anything about her.
Yeah, the 1-stars in general have been nerfed a number of times, and again, it's really, when it comes to these 1-star reroll compositions, you can still play them, but you really have to hit them a lot earlier than before, and you also have to have then the econ to heavily push levels. That's really what these comps are about, being able to push early game pace and then use level 9 to secure your late game scaling and be able to then chuck in all those extra legendary units or legendary synergies. You want like Six Forgotten or some of that kind of stuff to then be able to have that extra oomph in the late game to win your lobbies or finish top 2.
So currently, and we'll have a look and see what they're up to. Let's see, so I think we have got a stream. No, we haven't got a stream for Levin this time. Let's check on that. I think Levin did have a stream. No, okay, that's one of our players who doesn't. So we'll check in and see what Emmy's up to. Gets Mr. Duck. So eagle-eyed viewers, oh, never mind, may have spotted. Yes, unfortunately, this is the consequence of using this whole method, is that the Twitch ad blocker text comes up and gets in the way. But Mr. Duck is famous for running their own particular homegrown game mode called Duck Mode, in which they play only one champion on the board for the entire duration of the game. It seems like they've more recently been adjusting to a little bit more variety of approaches, because they were using a spin the wheel with presumably all the meta comps on it before the game started to determine their path through this game. So it's not been going amazingly so far for them, but it's been going okay.
Yeah. Mr. Duck at 80 HP. Extreme Ways. I mean, it looks like they're looking for some sort of AP board here. Because they do have the Shojin already slammed. Makes a lot of sense. Interesting to see what they'll do with these remaining items. The Chain Vest, you'd like to go into either a Bramble or a Sunfire. Sunfire is just really good on A-Bomb because you get 2 applications of it. Although Bramble, I would also say, has been a pretty good slam overall in this meta, or just in the set in general, because there's a lot of crit builds and there's also plenty of AD threats, as that has been, I would say that, especially in the previous patch, been extremely potent.
Alright, we'll keep an eye out for where Extreme Way is going, because right now, I mean, they've got, some of the material for a Chug Bug composition, but not necessarily the absolute ton of it, in the same way you're talking about with the Hellions before, that ideally you want to have a lot of these units. If they do change path here, I'm assuming we're thinking, oh, okay, well, I guess this kind of answers the question before to the extent. Maybe we see them going towards the classic, everyone's crowd favorite, the Squid Abomination style play, which is, of course, going to be dramatically enhanced by having an early Nunu.
Yeah, early Nunu is definitely critical in this composition. If you are able to hit it, it just secures so much of your mid-game here, stage 3. Even better, or the possibility still remains that he could play Zyra carry, as that's started gaining a little bit of steam. We saw it at Worlds as well. Has the Ginsu's Rage Blade available to him if he wants to go ahead and slam that later on. And then you're looking for an Archangel. So if you get Archangels here or Earth Angels on Radiant, that would be absolutely nuts here.
And sorry, just checking in with a very late arrival. Apparently, it has had their mum getting them doing a long task before tournament starts. Gosh, it does happen. This is ganked by parents is a definitely a real concern in the esports space. Oh, Mr. Duck's asking if their stream is lagging. Let's go and check. So Mr. Duck. No, actually looks to be fine.
Looks to be alright.
Yeah.
Also looks like they are perhaps playing a Draven composition, as we do see the IE Gensus and Rudan's Hurricane built up. That's definitely something to go for something like a Draven. There's perhaps a little bit of lag when it comes to transitioning here. But Vayne 1, not going to have that same oomph here to actually be able to tank up damage, more importantly. Because these items are so good, the damage department isn't the big issue. It's more of the, hey, I don't have that extra little bit of HP to be able to absorb any damage coming in from the other side.
All right, so let's check around the place. So yeah, I guess we, for the time being, Mr. Duck, we're just kind of riding out these rounds and hoping not to lose too hard, because presumably, although I may eat my words, I wasn't expecting them to roll at this point if they're going to be looking for a Draven later on, but maybe they're feeling like their board is too weak right now without a little bit of extra oomph.
Yeah, this is pretty much a full 1-star board here, so you're lacking a lot of extra damage or a little, again, that extra oomph here. Does find a Vel'Koz. Vel'Koz, no items, of course, not going to do a ton of work, but it is going to provide just a little bit extra damage, and that might save, 2 to 4 HP, which could be important. Unfortunately, doesn't get the cast off in that instance. No mana item on the champion always makes life difficult, but we're looking for him probably to go ahead and roll down after Carousel.
Yeah, that Carousel coming up just after this round, so we'll keep an eye out for what they're able to do. Let's see, who have we not spent any time with? Oh, Way Too Slick, of course! Perennial crowd favourite. Let's see if we can bump their quality up a bit, because I think they have got a high res. There we go. So what have they got going on? Knight, Begotten, Hellion, and Cavalier. A grab bag of various different, mostly defensive traits. And they're also going to grab themselves an early tier on the carousel. Let's see, what did Mr. Duck end up with? Because we were checking that. A spatula. That's an interesting choice, considering what they were running.
Duck with the spat. Wonder what he tries to go with that, since he was playing the Forgotten. It might have just been because it is a 2-star MF. He desperately needs any sort of 2-star.
Yeah, well, looks like it will.
His board.
So right now, that's, I believe, only the Legionnaire upgrade, or maybe the Skirmish. I can never remember because they changed them between sets, and people don't really use Skirmish. Use the other spatulas. There we go. Yes, it's right. It was a Skirmish emblem there, but not going to be terrifically helpful in the immediate for Mr. Duck, but does have the 2-star in there against Yanwa? Easy? I've got to check with them how to actually say their name, who is apparently also running Hellion, so that's 2 Hellion players along with the Squishy Knight in the lobby so far. Both of them seem to be doing pretty okay.
Ooh, that's going to be a really rough hit here for Mr. Duck. And, I mean, again, the board is just not ideal because of the fact that it is a full 1-star board. Hopefully Gradient helps out. You could either go for something like a Quicksilver or a Shroud. I think those are the ideal options in this case. If you want to play around this 2-star MF, you could go for that. You can go for the Death Cap in that instance. And indeed, they'll go ahead, slam the Death Cap, and it'll help stabilize a little bit, but again, because the board is just really, really weak at the moment, you're going to need a little bit of help.
Oh, hey, Spend the Jenna, welcome to the stream. So, we hadn't had a full chance to necessarily sounds check here today, because we're all starting in a bit craziness, so do let us know if our sounds are roughly balanced with each other. I realise that, let's say, you might be a bit low compared to me, so I've just bumped you up a bit. Hopefully, that will get us a bit more fixed, as Chushinachi, they've actually got themselves a Vayne as well. It looks like from their bench that they are planning on taking this Vayne maybe to Vayne 3.
Yeah, that's what it looks like here, still at level 5, so not looking to level in that instance, and we are going to see Stimmy check right here. It is gold and 2 Nikos. This is absolutely massive for Mr. Duck, because he can go straight to 7, find just 1 Draven, and instantly transition. That's going to be big for this board here. If he also finds an Aphelios, he can go that route. It's not great Aphelios items, but because you already have some of these Rangers built up already, it will be an okay transition spot, as we also do get the Vayne 2, which is going to help quite a bit.
It's a bit unfortunate that that's the time when you're going to throw the Vayne out, is the time when you find the Vayne upgrade. So where are our 4 costs coming in? We know there's a decent chance of showing them up at this stage. Unfortunately, they weren't quite the right 4 costs coming in, but Fiddlesticks is always a welcome guest at any TFT player's table. So Mr. Duck didn't find the carry they were looking for. I guess they'll be satisfied for the time being with just that upgraded Vayne and the extra unit up against Emmy Louis, who is running the perennial favourite of the redeemed Vel'Koz.
Yeah, and this Vel'Koz is fully stacked up, and with the Radiant Hodge, that's going to be more big damage coming down onto Mr. Duck. He's looking to be rolling right after this round, probably just to... I don't know how much gold you're going to be rolling down, but you do need to roll almost all of this.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a tough situation here. Along with Extreme Waves, Mr. Duck in the 20s coming into Stage 4, so their time on this planet may well be limited, at least for this first round, from the 3 we'll be playing here today, unless they make some pretty dramatic moves. So what have we got? Spirit Surgeon certainly will enable our enhanced Misfortune to get off the ground a little bit faster, but I do agree, it seems like a very risky decision here to not spend out the money while you've got the opportunity to still turn your game around.
Yeah, definitely really risky here to just hold on to this position. Perhaps hitting that Thresh incentivizes him to go ahead, stay where he is, but again, this board is just only 3 upgraded units, and this is essentially a better version of his board because he does have the fully stacked MF, but MF not quite, I would say not quite upgraded, but still more than enough to take out this very fragile front line.
That means we've officially got 3 different Forgotten comps in this lobby, and you got to feel pretty sad when you see that happen, when you realize your comp has become so heavily contested. Though there are now, it's now not completely out of the question that we could see a 3-star Misfortune as the roll down is finally happening. 2 Aphelios come through, but only one of them is taken. So it looks like there's the Draven. I think this is going to be the upgrade now. Not selling the Vayne. Not picking
the Rel there, but does have a second Draven at least.
Yeah, I'm really surprised to not see the Rel game picked up there, because we'd certainly be expecting to see that coming to the comp. The Draven right now is not upgraded, doesn't have any items at all, up against a Squishy Knight with the mostly Hellion board, though they are actually making use of Misfortune themselves. If Mr. Duck could take out the Squishy Knight and push them towards being eliminated, that would make that 3-star Misfortune tremendously easier, but they can't. In fact, they can't survive the round either. And they survive with 2 Nikos still on bench.
That's always a feel-bad moment there when you end up taking the L with 2 Nikos left available to you. You want to be able to use those before or just right when you hit that first 4-cost carry typically. Or, I mean, in this instance, I feel like what he wanted to do was get that last MF, because I believe he was on 6 MFs. So if he got 1 more MF, he'd be able to use double Nico and get the 3-star MF. But unfortunately, like, if you look at that front line, there just wasn't enough beef up front to be able to protect those backline carries.
Alright, so we will take Mr. Duck out of the rotation for the time being, just because it'll put us at a slightly easier to pass 4 players. So, we've got a 4, Emmy Louis, Extreme Ways, Chucky, and Way Too Slick. Who should we visit next?
Let's go take a visit to Chucky. I don't think we've visited... although Extreme Ways is kind of low, but we'll make a quick visit here because it is the Vayne 3 board that we're trying to hit. I don't think she has hit it quite yet. Actually, it does look like... Well, she's still committed to this build, but the hook lands onto the Vayne, and that should be fight over. And...
Maybe not. Vayne is healing up thanks to the Hand of Justice.
She is pumping out damage.
She does get CC'd though, and that's going to spell the end. I'm kind of impressed by what we're seeing there from Emmy Louis' Vayne, but I guess this is, where you hope to have a whole pile of trap claws on that Vayne just to make sure that she can keep on pumping out damage the whole way through the round.
Yeah, but here she's actually going to hit Stimmy now, so that gives her again 2 Nikos and a bunch of gold to roll. So perhaps this will be the point where she does hit all her units. She does hit that Vayne. She can double Nico if need be. And okay, she does find.
So that's 3-star Hecarim. They need just one more Vayne.
Okay, one more Vayne, and then she can go ahead Nico. Or leveling is the ideal play here, since you want to get an extra unit before the round starts. And that will be the MF in. Still sitting on 3 Forgotten, but the MF is... she does have a 2-star MF waiting on the tables, and this is such a big power spike because now this Vayne really gets to go to town.
Yeah, this is up against Levin, who has been rocking Draconic Ranger pretty much since the start of the game. Unfortunately, we don't have them as a POV to check out exactly what's going on, but they are currently up towards the top of the table, 59 now. So now we know that the Forgotten Comp should be on a roll from here on out. Let's check in and see. So who was it else you wanted to see? Was it Extreme Ways? So let's see. So yes, Extreme Ways is pretty low, but they've got themselves a solid looking board.
Yeah, this board is pretty strong here because you also have the Radiant Banshees. It's going to give you a lot of extra safety along with the regular Banshees. It's just a matter of being able to upgrade a couple of these pieces, and really it comes down to being able to place your units in the right spots. As he gets a Nico, this is really, really nice here because it gives him the possibility of hitting that 2-star Heimer. He's in fact going to start rolling a little bit. Maybe he hits Heimer, maybe he hits, okay, a possible Teemo there. Don't know if he goes for it. Okay, he actually is going to go for the Teemo, so that's going to put him at extremely, extremely low life. I don't know if that's actually the play here, but he's taking a very high risk, and hopefully he does get rewarded.
Alright, so Thieves Clubs, multiple Thieves Clubs coming in across the comp. So this is, I think this is pretty strong. We've got a good setup for the Vel'Koz with a Trap Claw as well on the backside.
Oh, perfect placement.
Yeah, this is going to go really well into the Tristana. Of course, with Tristana having a changed jumping rules, she doesn't move around anywhere near as much as she would before and leaves herself directly in the path of a Life-Form Disintegration Ray. Extreme Ways may have paid down to 2 life only, but they, right now, seem to have a very, very strong offensive push.
Yeah, this is a very, very powerful board. Interestingly enough, we don't see any of those tank items put onto any of those A-bomb champions. We did get a TG put onto the Fiddlesticks, but all of the big heavy tank items were tossed onto the Garen just to try and make him as tanky as possible. These are really, really nice spats. You can go for the Spellweaver or you can go for the Revenant. The Ironclad isn't great here because you don't have Ironclad involved, but if he wants to drop one of these pieces for a Rel, it's certainly possible. And I actually don't see what the spat actually was there, but Volibear is going to be the pickup. Okay, I would assume you're just going to 2-star the bear. Okay, so it is a Spellweaver spat.
That would put us to 3 Spellweaver, which is a little bit awkward.
Yeah, this is a spot where you probably just Spellweaver the Syndra. You're looking, oh, okay, mirror matchup here. Better position for Extreme Ways because he does have the upgraded Vel'Koz. But, oh, it actually dies. So this is possibly that 2 life going away at the very end. Going to have to tank up as much as possible. Does get the Volibear ult, and that might be enough to finish. And he holds on, Counterfeit.
Wow, that is absolutely crazy. Emmy Louis, yeah, I think very disappointed there after getting the early takeout on the Vel'Koz, but as I said, one round will see Extreme Ways out of this particular round of competition in 7th place. Squishy Knight and Shoshinachi both in very vulnerable positions as well. We can see a little bit of scouting going on there to see how likely it is that Extreme Waves will be able to make it through. Top 4 feels a long way away, but top 5 seems much more realistic in the immediate.
Top 5 definitely very, very doable here. And in fact, he's actually gone ahead and dropped the A-bomb. And this is not a good matchup here because he is on wrong side. And this is a Vayne 3 that is churning out damage. Nice little knock up there on most of the rest of the team. Unfortunately, does not get the Vayne. And Vayne does get hit by the Teemo ult.
The Vayne Pain Train comes to the station. Extreme Waves is out of here. Right in front of one of those players that were hoping to beat themselves as... Oh, hello. I guess Extreme Waves... no, they are... Hopefully they will still stick around, but they are dead for now. So let's chat across to Chucky and see what they are up to. So we just saw them doing very well with the Vayne.
Yep.
NIT3STAR, from your experience, you know, how far can this Vayne comp take you?
This Vayne comp, again, it did get nerfed on this patch as well, so the limits of this composition are a bit rough. However, because you do have the 3-star Hecarim, you also have, of course, this Rel that is pretty darn strong here with the TG. Really, you're looking for trying to hit that 3-star Nautilus at the moment. Unfortunately, does not land it. It's not a good time here because you are running 3 Ironclad here, but there are quite a few prominent AP boards. This is not one of them, so you have a decent shot, and you also position yourself away from this Diana. So I think this is as good of a fight as you're going to get.
Yeah, it's against Leven, who's definitely not in kill range, but Joshinachi manages to hold on for another round there. As Leven, you can see them, they've got the 5 Draconic ticking it away on the bench. Of course, yeah, you talked about before, you know, if you get that 5-round egg and Leven is somewhat in a position to hold on until that happens, maybe. But those 5-round eggs at Draconic 5 are now truly ludicrously strong.
Oh, and we do get a high roll on the Radiant Zeeks. We'll see if she ends up applying that onto her Vayne. That would help a lot in the sustain area, and a decent spot here at the moment with her Vayne positioning. She doesn't have to flip sides, I don't believe. So this next fight should be okay, but unfortunately doesn't get the extra Zeke, so not looking to get the extra attack speed or the sustain onto that Vayne. But again, nice positioning, and against Cavs, this is one of the matchups that is good for the Vayne because you're not worried about the damage reduction, but the CC landing on the Vayne is going to spell her doom.
And you can only imagine if, you know, if Shush had switched...
Draven 3.
Oh wait, that wasn't Draven 3? Good lord, I didn't even notice. I was so focused on the positioning for the Vayne there, but... Alright, they're taking a quick jump out of the game, so we will drop them out of our POV. And go down to just 3. So let's see, who have we got?
We can take a quick peek at that Draven 3, just to see how that board's doing. I mean, you're going to be sitting pretty for the rest of the game at the moment, but you'd love to have one more item on this champion. Has the QSS, has the Giant Slayer, so these are okay items, but you really want that last damage item, and you do have a rod. So I mean, unfortunately, you're not going to get item components anymore, although it's possible to see a couple of them. But you're looking for an IE. If you can get a Ginsu's, you're okay with that as well. But now you're just trying to hit 9.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious there, because yeah, way too slick throwing in the early money to start leveling up again. I guess at this point you're not gonna turn up anything better. The 3-star Misfortune is a long way off with no Misfortunes on the bench at all. So what kind of thing would you be hoping to put in at 9 if you can make it there?
You're looking for something like a Viego. Perhaps you drop one of these champions for 6 Forgotten in that instance. That might give you enough oomph for this Draven to start plowing through them. But of course, this Draven is like, once he gets rolling, he really gets rolling, as
Ooh.
he's essentially one shot. You know, perhaps you just drop to 2 Forgotten and get Legionnaires in, because you really want him to get that extra attack speed to get that alt initial Draven Axe up, and once he gets that, it's just kind of lights out.
Oh, Spenagena, thank you. I didn't think to check back on the chat until now. So I'll give him a little bit more of a boost, and thank you very much. Also, Reed, hey, welcome to the stream, and thank you for the follow. So this is Counterfeit's Casual Competition. I guess I probably don't need to explain it to you. I think I've already explained it to you already. So, NIT3STAR, I can't remember if you've spent time with Reed already.
I've spent a lot of time with
Okay,
Reed,
yeah, so I can't remember, because there's a lot of crossover between groups of people, and Reed is kind of the connective tissue between a lot. But
The Draven!
Oh, the Draven's dead! Action from leaving! Actually,
That could be 18. That's 18.
the end of the line for Way Too Slick?
And as they say,
Oh,
Draven
that's a
3
0!
Draven 3 is just a fake unit, guys. Don't play this. It's just not real. But yeah, unfortunately, the damage on the other side, I don't know who he was playing. I lost track of that, but that was a truly tragic fight. As we are going to see the last board there. It was also knocked out, and it's just going to be Leven taking on Easy in a battle of auctions.
Alright, let's see who can plow the most late game gold into a composition. That's the thing, it's going to be Easy might survive this one if they lose, but on the other side, as the actions swing around, it's a veritable Cirque du Soleil, NIT3STAR, in our last couple of rounds.
The Ginsu's is going to help out in putting in a lot more damage, but unfortunately, the front line is just too robust, and it will be Easy taking the win. 24 HP, just a really nice execution there. Well done.
All right, nicely done. Oh, thank you, Reed. It looks like it's still a little bit too low, so I will boost you up again on my side. Hopefully, we'll find the good mix, but hey, that does bring us to the end of our first round. I'm going to have a quick check across and see if our other lobby is still going. So that other lobby has inside it, let's see, who has it got? So Quattro, Sapphire, Sapphire Mist is in there, so let's see if... I believe Sapphire is generally a streamer, so we might be able to jump in and see what they're doing. Let's see. So this will be, if we get into here, our other lobby going on right now. Let's see, is Sapphire Mist streaming? No. Alright. Well, never mind in that case. So we will be headed to a short break while we get round number 2 sorted out. But do stick around, we've got 2 more rounds of regular TFT and then our giveaways at the end. Our feedback form will be going out at the end of the second round for any of you guys who are watching who are players. But for now, stick around and we'll see you again soon.
that you'll be there, ready to rescue me if I go out of track. You can get away with it. 'Cause you make me love my imperfections, answer all my questions just to show me what's on the other side of inhibition. No apologies, my baby. I do it all 'cause I'm feeling so good. I do it all 'cause I'm feeling so good. You make me love my imperfections. day. Eyes on my display. You say we need a change, and I feel that you mean it. You mean it. But you're so right. We're losing track of time. Buying things online, and it's not like we need them. We don't need them. So can we just slow down? The only thing I'll do is lay here next to you. We need to slow We were on the run, rocking around the clock. Now all we need is right here in front of us. In front of us. So can we just slow down? The only thing I'll do is lay here next to you. We need to slow down. Embrace the love we found. For you and I are safe and sound.
Howdy, howdy, everybody. Apologies for the delay. We have had a little bit more of a wait for Lobby 2 because apparently they went all the way to stage 7, which is not what we were expecting.
Not a frequent occurrence, but certainly if the top two players are really, really high HP, it is not too out of the realm that they just go into stage 7 because of how far ahead they are. But still impressive nonetheless. Not sure who exactly won that lobby, but
Well, let's. I think we've got the technology to actually pull this up on stream. So let's see if we can. Let's see. Shazam! We have. There we go. These are the results from Lobby 2. And as you can see, we had quite a varied setup there. So in Lobby 1, it was all about action. In Lobby 2, there's no action to be seen.
Yeah, in fact, the winner ends up playing a Kale 2. That's a really, really nice set of items for the champion, as long as a really nice, a robust front line, having the fully stacked up Galio. But Wolf has a relatively good board as well, because he hits the Renunu composition, even the Renewer Nunu itself. Um, and when you get that champion 3-starred, it really is just an absolute terror. But because you only take out one champion at a time with this composition, it is very difficult to prevent that Kale from ramping up all the way.
Yeah, and when you've only got the Heimerdinger 1, as you can see there, it's not in the perfect position to run there, but still it's very solid showing there from D Wolf, who will be part of our next upcoming lobby. Of course, Safa running the Yasuo composition. Yesterday in Contingent's Competitive League, which just run on every Friday. For any of you guys who are interested, I'll try and for next time to have a more specific instructions on that one. But they ran a lot of Yasuo themselves down there. It seems that while it wasn't necessarily winning lobbies, it was top 4ing pretty consistently.
Yeah, and it's just such a flexible champion. You can have really a myriad of items for him. You can put Archangels, you can put blue buff. There's just such a diverse number of options to when it comes to item selection for this champion that it's really, really nice to have in the meta. And then, of course, 4th place, we do see that Akshan 2, unfortunately, not the optimal items. You don't have any form of sustain or durability, and that's kind of why it ends up falling short.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we saw. I think, I guess we can bring them up right now, actually, and look through the Lobby 1 results as well. For anyone who's just tuning in for the stream right now or wants a reminder, because we did see the double action coming through there. And the 3-starred Raven of Way Too Slick not winning out, despite being presumably world-endingly strong.
Yeah, he was in a really, really good spot. Unfortunately, the Draven just didn't have sustain built on, whether it was through the Legionnaire synergy, which he didn't have, or just in an item. And as a result, this is why Draven, while is really good at pushing tempo, does fall short when it comes to late game. You really need to be able to hit a Draven 3 with great items to be able to finish out the lobby. And against 2 Akshan 2s who have insanely good items, it just comes up short.
Alright, so I think we should have our next lobby coming through in just a second, so we'll see if we can check in with how people are doing. I think they're just about to start queuing in now, so again, apologies for the slight delay. It was due to Lobby 2 going excessively long, and I blame Renew News. They are the worst and should be banned.
I mean, Renew makes a lot of fights go extremely slow, right? Because they only take out a unit at a time, which means if you've got a full level 9 boards, you have to take out the first one, and then the second one, and then the third one. It's really a step-by-step process, and sometimes we just don't want to do it ourselves,
Alright, so I think our players are just about getting in. I think they're maybe slightly out of sync with each other. We will perhaps be hopping between lobbies, as it's worth noting, and I will post it in the chat now, that our feedback oh, that's right, no, sorry, I'll do that at the end of this round. Coming. See, so that we've had, I'm trying to remember how many rounds we've had so far. I think we've just had we've had just the one. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Rain, for putting in Tournament 23 in our post results, so I can tell without having to run through too quickly. So one of our RP prizes today will be based on providing tournament feedback, because looking to try and make the tournament the best it can be. So it kind of effectively just becomes a RP prize available to anyone who's willing to fill in a very, very short questionnaire. But our questions shall be answered as we head into our second lobby and see what these 3 fine POV players have got for us.
Yep, nothing too fancy here on the carousel. It is just kind of split of everything. We're not going to get any fun starts all around. So we're going to start with D-Wolf. He's, I would assume, looking to build towards that Renunu composition once more, as that is a composition that is pretty consistent, I would say. It really just relies on you hitting just a couple of these renewers and then having Nunu. It's really all it is.
Yes, from my understanding, you know, getting access to that spatula is probably the trickiest part. And you kind of got to play your early game pretty carefully to make sure that you've got a low enough health to have the chance at the spatula. I'm trying to think of what the odds are there. I think it's around 15% that you'll see a spatula on the first carousel. So, and I've roughly the same for the following ones as well. So it's a relatively high risk strategy. You may never get the chance to get that spatula and pull the comp together.
And everyone's just spending time on, I don't know whose board it was, but it looked like a great time there. But, yeah, to the point of the Renunu competition, yes, if you want to really push for top 1 or top 2, you do need that Renewer Spat, but even without the Renewer Spat, you can hit top 4 pretty regularly just because of how strong that front line is and just how annoying or how low your losses should be. You shouldn't take big damage because of how consistent Nunu is.
Yes, I think I figured out a volume issue, so hopefully we'll be roughly the same volume as each other. Thank you, Reef, for trying to help with that before, and for Spencer Jenna as well. So, D-Wolf, they've got themselves a good amount of needlessly large rods and a bow to work with, as well as a solid sentinel setup here. If they can pick up the Aurelia, then they're in a very good spot, but Nidalee looks like she's going to end up being the carry for the team for the time being.
Yeah, already leveled up, so we're not going to see the interesting Olaf Udyr reroll comp, which has kind of floated around, but Nunu added it again.
So, I haven't actually come across this myself. I can sort of, just get from your initial description sort of the idea there with the Udyr Olaf of getting for the 1 costs, which are kind of undervalued by most people. Is that a viable comp that's kind of coming into at least some degree of prominence?
It's a lot more viable than it was before, just because of the fact that, hey, there were 6 skirmisher buffs on this recent patch. These are very good champions in their own rights. And if you, again, hit a lot of Olaf or Udyr early on and get that 3-star Olaf or 3-star Udyr on stage 3 or towards the end of it, then you're in a really good spot to just constantly push tempo, hit 6 skirmishers, get those ironclads in, and then you're just a really tanky composition that slowly scales up because of the skirmisher buff and just slams you really hard.
Well, I mean, that's not completely out of the question for Emmy Louie here. They've got themselves some early Udyrs and Olafs, as well as a very tanky front line, which could easily have, bits and pieces of it swapped in and out. They are certainly managing to push through Sapphire in the early going, who's got actually very, very early setup here with the Soraka and the Syndra, but it's not enough to deal with all this beef.
Yeah, just slamming the JG early on just to try and save some HP there. As we see yet another Udyr. They go ahead and pick this up. It could lead to them trying to play this composition, but it doesn't look like they're going to try and run at the 3-star Udyr Olaf. It is just more of a strongest board situation here, as they are sitting on a pair of Gragas and a pair of Olaf, but it doesn't look like they're... Okay, they will try and make econ by dropping 3 units there.
Alright, so our dreams of seeing something new are being taken away as Wildebeck. They're making some good use of Olaf themselves with a very early Infinity Edge. So Olaf doesn't have any particular, I guess apart from the attack speed which comes in at low health, doesn't have anything to particularly accelerate that, but can at least stick around for a while, getting those hits in and slowly chewing through the opposing line.
Yeah, Olaf is one of those units that you do need to take damage to really see him take off. Very similar to Kled, as the Kled damage doesn't really pop off until you get knocked off your mount. Olaf is very similar in that once he hits low health, that's where he starts chucking bricks, whereas before he's really just kind of poking you with the needle, which, you know, hurts, but it's also kind of more annoying than painful.
Yeah, that's always a strange place to be in, because you see other people's similar units kind of really going off, but you're right, it's the circumstantial stuff around it that's going to make the difference here. We'll see how this goes in the long term. Of course, we'd fully be expecting that Olaf to not necessarily stick around long term, to be able to get the full benefit of some better positioning. For Emmy Louis, though, they are leveling up. Again, they seem to just be playing their strongest board as D-Wolf. Actually, we should go and check across and check what D-Wolf is up to, because we've got their POV. They've kept hold of that Skirmish and Nidalee setup, and they are currently undefeated.
Really win streaking here, of course. Nidalee, a very, very strong placeholder unit for any of your big AD champs, whether it is the Lucian, the Philios, or the Draven. Just really nice item holder for all three of those. And you can also have the intermediary transition unit to something like a Jax if you need to, or if you hit that early on.
Yeah, that's a very counterintuitive thing that I think it's been taking people a while to kind of really pick up on. You know, like with the Callista, I guess Varus is one of the early examples as well. It's kind of the set 5.5 thing in particular. There's so many different places you can put these items that I think people didn't initially even consider.
Yeah. There's definitely plenty of placeholder units in this set, which, you know, might be... Oh, okay, that's a interesting slam with the Ginsu's on the Soraka, which, you know, you can certainly put a number of items which might not match up necessarily, and it can still work out to a certain degree.
Alright, so we're having a little trouble last stream, so we'll switch things across. Yeah, Emmy Louis does take a fairly substantial loss there, but they are on a loss streak coming into Krug, so they can't feel too bad about it. Along with Sapphire, you know, around the 70 health mark. D-Wolf is attracting a lot of attention, and more than, I think this has got to be the term, a little bit of Little Legends frolicking going on between some of our players here as they chase each other around their various boards.
Yeah, we'll see where everyone ends up this time around. Looking to try an econ in this situation, holding on to one vein. We'll see if Emmy Louis goes back to the vein as...
Ooh.
Well, there is a bit of a collection of forgotten units now, so perhaps looking to run 3-star vein.
We did see a lot of people going for Forgotten in the previous lobby, and of course somebody's going to come out the worst for that. Though I don't know if we've seen a ton of it so far this time round. I mean, everybody has kept themselves pretty open up until this point for finding different angles, and I guess this is the chance. So rolling for Vein feels like it's going to be a little trickier at level 5, but I suppose not impossible.
Yeah, I think this might end up being a Draven board, as it does look like...
Ah, yes.
It could be it, but because of the last Whisper Slam, it also gives you other options as well, going into, again, the aforementioned 380 carry builds, the Philios, the Lucian, and the Draven. Draven, of course, with the new changes, doesn't need the last Whisperer, but it is usable and serviceable on him.
Yes, it's with the, passive armor penetration is great, as Emmy Louis looks like they found the very early Jax. and they've been able to transfer those items to exactly as you call it before. The Nidalee turns into the Jax, and the threat level of D Wolf, who remains undefeated as of stage 2, becomes even greater.
Now level 6 also has 20 gold. And I mean, the gold situation isn't great, of course, but because you are win streaking, you're going to recover that very, very quickly. And skirmishers at stage 3 are always very, very dangerous. He can also now go for 3, or not 3-star, but we're looking at 6 skirms.
Well, let's see if we can just scout around. So we know Emily is, yes, running the sort of Draven waiting room, or Aphelios waiting room, perhaps, for the time being, near the bottom of the table. D-Wolf, again, attracting a lot of attention as the undefeated player to beat. We actually haven't seen much of Mr. Duck, and hey, we spoke about Forgotten before. Looks like Mr. Duck's back on the Forgotten hype train. They have got themselves a Nomicon for Misfortune, though. Actually, one of the units that kind of struck me when we were first looking at the set mechanics is that we've got a lot more of units having the effects that you would otherwise nearly always use for them be built into their kit. So, for example, with Misfortune, she's got an AoE. She was always getting up with Nomicon, but instead now it's built into her kit to allow her to actually build something else.
Yeah, and it's also similar to Heimerdinger, where he has heal cut grievous wounds on his ultimate, but sometimes you are stuck in a position where you just have to slam the Morello in that instance.
Oh, hello.
As
we've been banned again. Oh, never mind. All right, let's see who we've got who's still up. Mr. Duck looks like they are here, so we get to check in with them, and of course D-Wolf, who's no longer undefeated. So unfortunately, we're not able to tell who was the one to knock them down a peg. But D-Wolf,
damage.
Yeah, I mean D-Wolf is still, of course, a massive threat. You can see they are thinking about even running a Aphelios. Is D-Wolf in the back line. Now that they've lost their win streak, I guess they've got a lot less incentive to really just plow down the same route. Yeah,
and Aphelios is one of those units that you do need to kind of high roll a little bit early on in the game. You need win streak, you need a lot of HP, because once you hit Aphelios 1, you expect to take a decent chunk of damage before you hit Aphelios 2. So I like the fact that they are using this Jax as an intermediate carry, because Aphelios 1 just doesn't put the damage out, and it's just such a stark difference to once you do get that upgraded.
Alright, so Mr. Duck, I'm saying okay. 74, sharing with Shark Tale movie, which is one of the more striking names I've seen for a while. I presume they're just a fan of Shark Tale. It's kind of going back a way, though. So, I don't know, maybe it's a long-time name. Maybe they just thought it was weird enough that it merited sticking around.
Interestingly enough, we do have Easy now on a win streak. So I'd imagine D-Wolf's streak was ended by Easy there, but now they're looking to really start streaking. We'll see how long it goes before they have their streak ended, but again, when you are win streaking, and it just gives you so many more options when it comes to composition, because you do have the ability to sack 2 or 3 big losses because you have the health pool to do so.
It doesn't look like D-Wolf's going to have to worry too much about that as we check in on one of our other boards and see. I believe that was Emmy Louis taking a loss, though kind of a little bit strange there. And yes, noted by one of our players here that the players on mobile won't be seeing the chat, so it allows for our players who are on PC to gossip about them endlessly without getting into trouble.
An interesting pickup here, actually going for the Frozen Heart of Gold. Perhaps looking to apply a little bit of defensive stats to the back line. Of course, it is going to protect you if the front line does get onto the back line, but it's definitely an interesting selection and a bit of a non-traditional one, as there were some good options, great options, I might add, for her or the MF there. And there was the Radiant Hodge. So could have added a little bit more sustain for this champ. We'll see. I don't think this is going to be the final direction because MF with Morello isn't ideal. You want to have items that add a little bit more oomph, but in this case, it's more than enough to sort of stabilize in this position.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised about where that Frozen Heart ended up going. Maybe it will get moved over time. But certainly means that the backline is a lot safer than it would be otherwise from early aggression. So Mrs. Duck, let's see who else we can check in with. So D-Wolf, they're still up towards the top of the table there, so they will be getting the last picks in. What are they looking for? Defensive items?
Going for the cloak there might have been an attempt to get Runans, perhaps. Not sure if they had bow remaining on the table, but okay, it was... I would say that it probably gives them an opening to go for Runans, as the remaining items weren't exactly great, but because you do have the belt, it does offer you an option to go for something like the Banshee's Veil, which is just such an extremely powerful item at the moment.
Yeah, I've not seen a ton of people picking it up, but being able to ignore crowd control is amazing over the course of the round. Let's see here. So Sapphire, with some very, very placeholdery setup right now, looking like maybe a Vel'Koz comp in the making, but certainly not there right now. I think he's going to get fairly harshly beaten down by D-Wolf there, who manages to push Sapphire, let's see, down to 27. That is not looking great.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we also didn't see what the stimmy was, so unfortunately, we will have to wait just a little bit longer. And I mean, also at the same time, two of our players are in a very, very good spot for the most part with where their HP is. But all right, Emma Louie will...
What's the stimmy?
Wait.
No, they put away in the last second. Why you do this? Oh my gosh. Oh wait, so this...
He hasn't picked it up. He's just...
trolling.
He's just waiting.
They can see the other players have come along to look for what the stimmy is. So they're like, nope, not gonna take it until you go back to your own board. Maybe even then. All right, what's it gonna be? It's a bunch of gold and 2 item components.
Okay.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
So for the most part, like, I know D-Wolf, they are in a position where they have 2 item slots or they have 2 kind of floating items around here. They unfortunately aren't in a health position where they're going to hit stimmy anytime soon, but if it does get to that point, well, they would be able to complete, I would hopefully get an ideal item there.
So I mean, that is one of the 1120 rather changes, that the stimmy, that extra blessing you get in it, it's just a little bit more powerful than it was before. So see, these aren't 2 set item components in, there seem to be 2 random item components that are coming in. So Emmy Louie right now has got the fully itemized Aphelios, but you've got a second Ranger sitting there waiting to be a secondary DPS source.
Yeah, and the big thing here is the Aphelios isn't quite upgraded yet, so that's why Emma Louie is holding on to the Dravens in the event that you do hit multiple Dravens and you just go ahead and make that transition, because you also are sitting on a Yasuo, so the possibility of flipping comps is still there.
Alright, so we can see what Sapphire has been up to, and that is setting up a Vel'Koz Abomination composition that is good enough to take Emmy down. These are 2 of our lower table players. In fact, yeah, now on exactly the same health with each other. The bottom of the table, putting each other in risk of getting eliminated early.
And one of the big benefits of AP compositions is that once you hit stage 4, they're pretty darn strong. It's really, you're waiting for those 2-star AD carries to come through. That's when the script starts flipping back over. But Stage 4 is more than fine to be sitting on 1-star AP carries who are going to do a little bit more than their AD counterparts.
So a very, very early action there. So Last Whisper, not ideal because of the built-in armor shred that he'll be applying anyway. But honestly, to get an action this early on, I don't think you're going to give that one up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the early action is going to be very helpful. Looking to push levels now. Perhaps they'll start speccing into Sentinel, but these aren't great items for the auction. And I would even say that if they hit a second auction and then a second Aphelios, you would probably swap some of those items over onto auction. Maybe get the Radiant gun, or not Gunblade, but the Radiant
Quincy's.
Rage Blade. Yeah, the Radiant Guinsus over onto your auction instead.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It feels like that's what Emmy's been holding out for this whole time, is the chance to switch the items to where they're most efficient, but they might not have that opportunity. Down to now 14 health, now officially last place in the lobby, and I guess at least with it being this early, this is probably a couple of losses from Deb, but every decision they make from here on out is gonna be do or die.
Yeah, it's 2 okay losses or 1 really bad loss. At 14 HP, it is always a little bit dicey here. And stage 4, while you don't take as much damage as you would get in stage 5, where you would expect to take 12 to 15 damage a round if you lose, it's still not great spot. So this is actually going to be a good fight for them, as they will be able to secure the win, I think.
No.
I think.
I think actually might get the other, well, at least the other side of...
Oh, no!
No, Emmy loses again. So we'll try and get back to Emmy as soon as we can. Unfortunately, the Twitch is trolling us, so we'll have to just rely on Mr. Duck for the time being. To be fair, Mr. Duck is also in a somewhat perilous position.
Yes.
They have actually got their Draven online. Not any sustain, as you noted before, to keep that Draven up if it does run into trouble, but a decent amount of damage and attack speed.
Yeah, these are some okay items. You have the IE to provide the crit, and the Zeke's is going to provide some raw stats to him in the health and the AD. That's going to be a solid option, but now Earth Angel's available, and this is really tragic because you do have a full completed MF on it, and I would like to go for the stone plate because you already have a frozen heart of gold, and right now it's just trying to hit more MFs, but unfortunately just hoarding a lot of 3-cost units and upgraded units, so losing a little bit of gold with this roll down.
Yeah, I guess Mr. Dr. Sun, they just want to get as much coverage on that upgraded Heart of Gold as possible, as we can go back to the Emmy cam and see what's going to happen here. So we have got
this is very good.
The upgraded Zeke's is in the backline, which should make a pretty big difference. That gives some sustain to both of the main carry threats that Emmy's got here, up against the Zara, who's kind of positioned in the middle. It's looking like Emmy will hold on here as Mr. Duck goes down to 1 health. It's a very fierce battle to try and hold on in this game.
Yeah, but the big important thing is the fact that not only did they hit the Aphelios 2, they also hit the Akshan 2, I believe, here. And so you have fully itemized, upgraded backline carries. You are also starting to build towards an Aphelios 3. Also looks like they want to try and get Diana 3. Diana 3 does one-shot a lot of backline, but the issue is the cooldown between ultimates is extremely long.
Yeah, so that first ult landing is going to be all important. I wonder if, I mean, for Emmy, you know, we know that they are on death's door right now.
Mm-hmm.
So again, every decision is going to matter, and how they spend their gold becomes very starkly, you know, presented if you make the wrong choice here, if you don't get enough gold to find your extra units, then you can just die up against Easy, who's going to hit right on to the Aphelios. But Aphelios actually survives long enough to get themselves up and running. Teemo's shots across the bow aren't enough. Louis still alive. Mr. Duck, let's see if we can catch them one way or the other, is going out. Will be number 8. And that was a situation that Louis just avoided. And Sapphire is close to joining as well.
This is a very tight bottom 8 through 6 here. We'll see if Emmy and Sapphire are able to stave off 7th and 6th, perhaps make that climb into that 5th position. But the rest of the lobby is also really, really close. You look at Will, he's on a win streak here, so that's good for them. But everyone else, extremely, extremely tight. Although a Shark Tail did just buy a teammate, so lost 6 HP there.
Alright, so let's see what D-Wolf is up to. So they've gone for an Aphelios themselves.
Yep.
So they didn't find the action, at least not that I noticed. It's going to be pretty tight between the two of them. Fortunately for D-Wolf, I think they were moments away from getting another ult off.
And the big thing here for D-Wolf is the fact that, well, you show up on that board and now you've realized not only is there no option to go for a... not only do you lose that fight, but you also see that they are holding on to 5 Aphelios. So the option of hitting Aphelios 3 is also going to be a bit of a struggle. You're going to have to wait for... the Aphelios to die out, and then you can get those champs back into the pool.
Okay, so I think let's see. So we've got our POV on the Wolf, who's doing pretty decently. Mr. Duck, who of course is all kinds of dead, and then Emmy, Louis themselves. So we'll stick with the lowest health player who's still fighting for survival. So 6 items between the 2 carries. That one big defensive Sejuani in the middle, as we've got the second 2-star coming in for our friend Dana, who I think might be switch sides, or at least was attempting to be switch sides to try and enable Aphelios to get rolling with those 2 Guinsus faster.
Yeah, really tragic there, not being able to get the Zeeks, but into a 2-star Yasuo. This should be an okay time here for the Aphelios board. Shouldn't have too many issues, although it's looking problematic.
It's going to be tight here. You can see the hand adjuster working overtime for that Aphelios, but can't match up. Mr. Decoit makes the elimination, so Emmy Louis is out of here. Hopefully they'll stick around and provide us a POV so we can actually start seeing a little bit more of our other players.
Yeah, and it's actually a double elimination as Shark Tail gets taken down to 0 in that fight as well. So Sapphire goes from 7th and looking at an 8th to now in the 5th position. Really nice clutch there, being able to get extra 2 spots. We'll see if they can continue to climb up, because now it's very realistic for them to get that 4th spot.
Alright, so Safa here against Mr. Decoit, who we just saw previously. That Yasuo on the back line with the double Runans. It's going to be hitting a whole bunch of targets, but they've avoided getting lasered in the short term. It's the second laser that they really need to be worried about, though.
That second laser does remove the Yasuo, and that will be another round survived. Will, though, also survives the round, so it's still a tight race here, and if they are able to survive one more round, then you're looking at the rest of the lobby starting to catch up to them, and then you're realistically fighting for even second.
Yeah, well, Mr. Decoy and Easy in the 30s. D-Wolf, the kind of the middle of this particular sandwich, and Wilderick and Sapphire down on the single digits, so we could easily be going down to top 3 in the very short term. As we've got ourselves some interesting stuff here for Easy. A Renewer Spatula that does have some amount of use to it, at least can do something, though it's not perhaps what they were hoping for.
It's actually pretty good in this situation because you can just throw it onto the Galio. It makes the Galio very, very robust. We do see there is a Zephyr in play on Sapphire's board. So this Zephyr could play a major factor in trying to zero out one of these carries. We'll see how well it plays out, but a 2-star Akshan and another Aphelios 2 hit on these boards. Easy hitting level 2. Oh, okay, that's a big Zephyr coming in from D-Wolf. Gets the Vel'Koz, and that might be enough to win this round.
And Viego thrown away from the backline by the Syndra. It's all down to how well his Aphelios punches come through. Waiting on that next laser. It's going to be real close. And the Syndra ultimate holds Aphelios in the air so the Vel'Koz can slap them down.
Oh, that was actually so tight as far as the margins go. He's going to be able to get a Nico as well. He's trying to get that 3-star Aphelios, and we get another 3-star Draven here. I don't know what those items are, but that is much better items than what we saw on our previous Draven 3, but because it is all the way in the backline, it is going to have to take a step or two forward. We'll see if the position does get screwed up because of it, and now we also hit the Aphelios 3. So a lot of 4 cost 3 stars coming into play, and that might mean it's the end of the line for this Vel'Koz board.
Yeah, I mean, Emmy Louis getting taken out and freeing up all of their Aphelii, as they are called in the group name, make a big difference there. As we are on an elimination round, this Draven has to deny getting lasered, actually standing to standing to the side of the line of effect, means there's no chance here for Sapphire. They are out of here, and we finally get to see what a 3-item 3-star Draven looks like.
Yeah, this is what happens when you do get great items. Plenty of options when it comes to itemization on the Draven, but when you get 3 of them in either way, it does make such a large difference. But it will have to take on this Aphelios 3. So the big question is, what are the matchups here? Because if it ends up being both of these 3-star 4 costs going at each other, that alleviates a lot of pressure on the other 2 players, because these matchups are a lot more winnable, except for the fact that Aphelios does have to go against his Nightbringer brethren in the Yasuo.
Let's see, it's going to take a while for that Aphelios to cast, but when they do, they should be hitting like an absolute truck. The Yasuo is in a safe position at the back of the comp, but unfortunately, everybody else is dead. And I think we see the hard ceiling there for the Yasuo, that you just can't get that much further when you're up against a 3-star 4 cost.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just the stark reality, right? A 3-star 4 cost should outperform a 3-star 3 cost there. You're investing 9 more gold into the unit. And now it's just a matter of this last fight. D-Wolf taking on Will. Batter of 3-star Aphelios taking on 3-star Draven.
Hey, this is what we came here for. We want to see a big fight between absolute titans. And that's exactly what we're going to be getting. This is almost like a crash test dummy kind of situation. They're saying, like, ultimately, which one of these 2 is the harder hitter face to face?
Yeah, there is also a Zephyr in play on D-Wolf, and he gets the knockup on to this Draven pick. Hopefully that's enough time to allow this Aphelios to ramp up to destroy the rest of the board.
Draven is back in the mix now and building up their own Gwynsus. They're not directly facing each other yet, but it's only a matter of time. The Aphelios is going to get the big cards through, and the Draven is blown to pieces. We have enough evidence to draw our conclusions. Turns out, Aphelios, just that little bit better.
And it was really well played, getting that Zephyr onto the Draven there, so it holds it up just long enough to get the Aphelios going. And when you have 2 Ginsu's users, the one that doesn't get Zephyr'd is just going to have such a much larger advantage, and that's exactly what we saw there.
All right, so you can see from our end of game screen, we do appreciate the keeping that up for us here. Emmy Louis. Of course, yes. I forgot about the TFT oddity here, which is that it takes only the end of the snapshot for when Emmy Lou was eliminated in the 7th. So very much not accurate. We'll see if we can grab someone's. If someone's posted up results already, then we'll see if we can grab that on the stream itself, because that will make for a tremendously more productive discussion. Let's see. Yes, there we go. Round 2, lobby 1. Let's bring up. So, there we go. D-Wolf with that 3-star Aphelios against the 3-star Draven. I guess, given the fact that we've got 3 players running AD carries in the top 3 positions, it feels like it does at least speak to kind of where we are meta-wise at the moment.
Yeah, the AD comps are in a really, really nice spot. When it comes to the AP comps, unless if you're able to hit the 2-star Heimer, it feels like the damage is pretty... There's not enough persistent damage. You get a lot of burst, but the Vel'Koz just doesn't eat through enough units at this time. And it also comes down to, well, you kind of have to 50-50 each individual fight, making sure that your Vel'Koz is on the right side. And there's so many things that you need to outplay. You need to outplay Zephyrs, you need to outplay Shrouds, and then you need to make sure you're on the right side to hit their carry. It's a very tough road for Vel'Koz at the moment.
I think that the other lobby might be done, because I was checking with Way Too Slick to see what they are doing. So we might be able to get back into round 3 pretty quick. Yeah, we're going to take a short break to make sure we've got everything in order before we do that. So please do stick around. We'll be returning at approximately 20 past, so it'll be around 5 minutes time from now for our final round of the day. And then, of course, we'll be doing our giveaways and then ultimately sending our raid off to see who else is streaming TFT today. But for now, I will see you on the other side of the break with our final round of play. Welcome back, one and all. We are just about to get into our final round here today of our competition. So hopefully we'll end up with some definitive winners, because we've had a lot of very close standings coming into this. In fact, we can confirm now, and I'll bring these across onto stream before we get into the game itself. Let's bring these up on stream so it will make it a little easier to follow what we're talking about. So with our current standings, which I'll make a little bit bigger, I think it's a bit too small to follow. So we've got D-Wolf up at the top. Oh, thank you for the follow, Wildebeck. Wildebeck themselves in second place, or rather tied for first place with D-Wolf. And then Easy just below there, leaving on 13, and then a lot of players on 10th, with a few more with a lot of space to catch up, including Mr. Duck, who is, of course, one of our tournament favourites for other reasons. Alright, let's get back into things. I think this will be our lobby for today. So we've got 4 POVs. Mr. Duck, T-Wolf, Chucky, and Give You the Squid as our 4 players we can look at specifically. NIT3STAR, who would you like for us to start with?
Let's go with door number 3.
Give You the Squid.
Door number 3.
I mean, who doesn't, honestly? Alright, so let's see. So this is Squishy Night, or Squid as they're otherwise known, so excuse me, we get a little confused there with who's doing what. So Squid is, let's see, where are they? They're currently in 13th place, so they're going to have to make a lot of ground in this last round to improve their standing. Of course, prizes only come in for first place players, so most of the time people playing it today will just be playing to see how far they can get. If they can't necessarily put themselves into a strong position to win the whole thing, they can at least make other people lose.
It's all about the Hail Mary stuff. If you can't win, at least you drag someone down with you. Hopefully on these last games we see some more spicy compositions as well, you know. Maybe someone brings out the Cledge, just because of the fact, oh, okay, that's 2 Draconics. That is as clear of a Draconic route as I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's the game definitely sometimes just wants you to do well, and dropping the 2-3 costs you would need to get Draconic from even before stage 2, this is a dream scenario for Swiss Unite, and if they can make the most of this, this could be their best performance of the tournament.
Yep, and I mean, getting at 1-4 is just so much extra gold about to come your way in this next stage. So should be a good time. We'll see if they go for the AP or the AD route, as that could still technically be up in the air. But when you do have early Draconic, you just want to get as many levels to make sure you can stay as healthy as possible, to be able to continue getting that income, because you don't necessarily need as much interest because of the bonus.
No, I mean, you know, Squishy Knight will start generating eggs now we're out of the PV round, up against Joshinetchi, who actually does have a very similar drop themselves, though they didn't find the early Udyr. It seems like we might be seeing a contested Draconic in this lobby.
We'll see how these Draconic players end up doing. As usually when you get multiple Draconic players, the lobby will end up being a lot slower because people aren't necessarily playing their strongest board. So a lot of damage that could come through isn't coming through. But now we are going to see the available Bramble Slam if they want to go for it, and that will indeed be the case.
The old Slamble Bram. It's a crowd favourite. Mr. Duck has actually got themselves an early... Is that an early misfortune too?
There we go. That is actually such a high gold board. You have Miss MF2, and you also have 3 other 3 costs. That board itself is 18 gold. That's probably as expensive of a board as you can get at this stage.
So we can see running what is currently a Yasuo comp. Again, with the change to Yasuo's being a much better as a caster now, can very much hold AP items going forward, and maybe even be a long-term prospect for Wildrevik here.
Yeah, and again, this is one of the players that is playing for first, currently tied for first, and the other player is Wolf. We have both in this lobby, and that means only one play. There won't be a tiebreak situation.
No, that's actually pretty rare with the way the points work here, which are intended specifically to be uncompetitive. A small note, actually, is what we're seeing for the moment from Squishy Knight, who is on 88, so the early attempts at staying healthy haven't necessarily gone tremendously, though you have to imagine they could be going worse. They are pretty close, though, if they find an early Galio, to getting an extremely early Draconic 5.
Yeah, you could definitely hit 5 Draconic with this build, and when you hit early Galio, you don't necessarily need the A-bomb then, because you can just move all your tank items onto that Galio, and it is more than sufficient front line, especially when you also have that Bramble already built up. It's not certainly no slouch when it comes to tanking. However, we aren't going to see any forecasts on this carousel because it is the first one. So it's just a matter of what do they end up taking it. They will take the tier. It does look like they're looking for more of the AP style. So you're looking for maybe this Zyra to be the carry, or do they go and transition into a Vel'Koz, or perhaps the Heimerdinger?
I mean, we've certainly seen comps before where, 3-star Zyra can absolutely be an end game unit where, you'd otherwise maybe be looking to swap out as. We've got another Zyra in the shop and a very large egg brewing up here for Squishy Knight. There's a decent chance that's got the third Zyra ready to patch in just a few turns.
Yeah, and in this situation, they're going to try and they do have that level up. And I wouldn't even be too opposed to just go ahead, sell your 2. Oh, okay. All right, interesting move there. Selling the Hecarim there, making sure that if they do hit Nunu and Brand on any of these following shops, that they will be able to go ahead and put a bomb in.
I think this is presumably coming because Squishy Knight, while they put a bunch of levels into the early game to try and stay healthy, the lobby overall has been strong enough that they're feeling under threat. They've now on a 4-loss streak, and while this isn't a ton of health early on, it's still enough to maybe say, okay, you can't plow straight on to Draconic 5. You're going to have to take at least a sidestep to make sure that you don't get too much damage in the early going.
Yeah, that's going to be the case here. 78 HP, though. I've definitely had worse first stages lost streaking, so it's by no means a bad spot. Currently also tied with Mr. Duck, so it is D-Wolf now on the table. Has the A-bomb up and available, so we're going to actually see, I think, quite a few AP compositions in this lobby. So whoever does go for the AD might have a very easy time making their way to the top in this lobby.
Alright, just checking on some shenanigans going on. So we're gonna. I realized I was a little late on doing this because of other stuff going on. But we've got the feedback form coming out right now, so that it will be ready by the time we actually get to the end of the tournament.
Excellent. Always good news. And we are into the Krug round. So 74 HP, not great here, but because you have the potential to go ahead and hit Galio, not sure if they will try and level at 3-2 to try and get it, but high amount of potential here, and it will be the Callista 2 at the very least hit here, and also a Sunfire Cape completed. So decent tank items already up. I'm gonna go ahead slam Bramble onto the Callista in the meantime. And with these two items, you could go for you're looking for Shojin, of course, with the tier, and then with the bow, that's a little bit more up in the air. You can go Ginsu's if you're looking for Zyra carry, but usually when you have Zyra carry, you also want to have Archangels to really ramp up your damage, which we won't be able to see unless if you're sacrificing the Shojin.
Well, Squishy Knight taking a relatively soft loss there to keep their loss streak up. We are going to see some eggs popping here, so this could be the difference maker. There's, oh, not quite what they were maybe hoping for, but wait, did they just get components from those?
Yes, that's what you can get from the 4-turn egg, and that's exactly what happens there. So that's really nice. You're going to be able to level up, get an A-bomb. This is such a nice spot. Unfortunately, they can still take losses here because they are sitting on just a Zyra 1, but you're in a position where these losses, again, if you do take losses, aren't going to be that bad.
Alright, so up against Shushu, who has got themselves the beginnings of something special with the Vel'Koz. Looks like they've got themselves a little bit of spell weaving as well. It's with the Abomination in, though, that's not even going to be close.
Mm-hmm. And they might just be looking to get 3-star Draconics all around because they are holding on to that 2-star set on their board, which they could have sold to make Econ, but that is also the loss streak now taken care of here. So we'll see if they're able to win a couple more rounds this stage. You're looking at least a second or third one in the stage to really be comfortable. Otherwise, it feels like you kind of lose the lose streak, but then you also lose all the extra gold because you ended up throwing in a win in between.
All right, so we can see we've got ourselves back to our old friend Aphelios in the backline right now. I did wonder, as coming into this patch off of Worlds where Aphelios was super dominant, if the max mana increase on Aphelios was enough to make a difference. And from what we've seen so far, it doesn't seem like it is.
It doesn't seem like it's impacting it quite enough, but at the same time, the extra 2 mana, that does mean you're taking 2 extra autos. It is relatively impactful because it means you do need that Ginsu's to get that ramp up in the auto attack speed department to be able to hit your ults in a relatively timely fashion, or you're going to need a Shojin, which isn't exactly ideal when it comes to itemization, but it is a very interesting spin to the Aphelios build. But okay, so we do see 5 Draconics hit here. We'll see if Squishy Knight does go ahead, level, or just drop A-bomb here and play the Gallia, which is what I would personally do, and just say, throw caution to the wind. We're just going to make money. We're going to the moon.
It's a tough decision. I mean, for Squishy Knight, this game hasn't quite gone the way they would have liked up until this point, but they hold off on the full commit in here, which is, I think that's kind of surprising, because, you've got so much time left in the game, and I guess the balance is now is how greedy do you get with those Draconic 5 eggs? How many of them do you bring in, and how long do you keep them going?
Pete, I am a very greedy individual. If you put money in front of me, I want that money right here, right now. And I mean, it looks like they want to just win streak through the rest of the stage, which also makes a lot of sense. But remember, when it comes to stage 4, when you start taking those losses, it is going to hurt a lot more. So I think while more than likely Squishy Knight's going to try and push for level 8 to be able to have Draconic and A-bomb in, all of a sudden you might not be scaling as well anymore.
This is such a fascinating situation to be in here now, because the decision making for Squishy Knight, do they try and keep their board as strong as it can be right now, and give up on some of that hugely explosive potential from those 5 Draconic eggs? And then, if they're playing out to keep as healthy as possible, maybe once they get to level 8, that's the time they bring in the Draconic 5 and say, I paid my penance effectively by not getting these eggs earlier, but I'm in a much better position to capitalize on them if I'm healthy once I'm level 8.
Yeah, that's the decision making here. And it looks like they are going to lose to the Yasuo board, so they will lose the win streak at the very end of the stage. They're also holding on to 4 items, so a lot of potential still for this board here. And now they're going to try and level up a little bit. I really want to see these sets dropped, but I mean, again, it is the last game. Sometimes you just kind of want to get 3-star everything, get as much golden units to cap off your night.
Alright, so I think we got a chance to check in, and if I didn't miss my guess, Mr. Duck running the Misfortune along with what we've previously saw from D-Wolf. Actually, we've been on Squishy Night for quite a while, so let's go and look around and see what else is going on. So, give you the script. Oh no, this is who we were watching before. Never mind, let's go check in with Chucky and see what they are doing. So it's the Abomination Squid. So apparently we're getting a lot of mileage out of the Abomination in this lobby.
Interestingly enough, chooses to double stack the Fiddlesticks 2 rather than split items and put one completed item onto the brand to give the A-bomb that 3rd item. But relatively good position here. It is Aphelios 1, so going to take a while to actually ramp up and do real damage, and the Vel'Koz is in a good spot.
Unfortunately, doesn't fire towards the Aphelios, means that Shishidashi will take the loss there, going down to sub 40, along with Mr. Duck, who's sub 30 right now. We do need to go and check in and see what they're up to, because they are in some pretty major trouble. So last time we checked, I believe they were running the Misfortune comp, but they've got a lot of assassins sitting on the bench right now, which don't feel like they fit super well in with the current setup.
A little bit confusing, but I think it again comes back to the fact that they were trying to hit a level, just trying to get level 3 Misfortune, and now that they have accomplished that, I'm interested to see what other units they end up tossing into the build. They have a lot of units that they're looking to upgrade here, and you also have a decent chunk of gold sitting in your bench. And it is, well, I mean, you can just kind of chuck in the Nocturne 2 if you want, but they are still at level 6, so a lot of potential power to upgrade. Unfortunately, just not going to have the gold to get to level 7, at least for quite a while.
You see the Misfortune there, when she does get to ult, absolutely melts anyone she comes into contact with. Unfortunately, against Chush's board, it's a little spread out, but no, Vel'Koz walks into range and therefore becomes just another victim. It's incredibly close as Mr. Duck takes that round by the smallest of margins, managing to provide another loss to fellow bottom of the table player Chush. The rest of the lobby, you can see there, the top 4 in particular, a huge gap between top and bottom 4.
Yeah, there's a pretty wide gap, but remember, Squishy Knight is currently sitting on Draconic, so a lot of potential still to be gained with these items. What do we end up seeing slammed here? It is going to be Ginsu's, and it is going to be Gunblade. So when this Lux ults, there is going to be relatively good damage coming out of her, and that might be the second carry that he needs in this composition to stabilize.
See there, though, Easy with the Lucian carry is possibly a little bit too much to handle. Yes, those Misfortune ults was again on the spread out board. It's very much going to be down to luck as to if they hit onto the right carry.
Unfortunately, not able to clutch out that win. Will be able to get themselves another rod. And I mean, they don't have any floating items, so unfortunately not going to be able to complete the item. But as we swap over to D-Wolf, One of the players playing for first here does grab a Nunu, and it is also going to be a Chain Vest. Could be one more A-bomb item here. As it's either the Stone Plate or the GA. Both of them are good options, but it will be the A-bomb item here. And I like the position of this Lux. This is what we see when you are playing the redeemed version. Redeemed A-bomb of Vel'Koz is that you just place the Lux front line. She dies. You get the extra AP on your Vel'Koz to then hopefully carry through.
Now, I've loved seeing this adaptation on the Lux positioning over time. You're finding out that you can play in a very counterintuitive way, much like the Draven to the front line as well, up against Shark, who is bringing out the Tristana carry. We're seeing right now it's working pretty well, but it's getting hunted down by the Abomination. I don't think it will hop away quite in time, and that's going to be a big loss for the Shark Tale movie. Unfortunately unable to deal with the sheer mass of the monstrosity.
At the same time, Shark Tale is kind of scaling up to a certain degree, and it does look like we're going to see a pretty big pivot coming out from D-Wolf as he finds a Heimerdinger, so immediately trying to swap things over. Not sure if that's an upgrade because he doesn't have any mana items, so you can see that he himself has realized that to a certain degree. And he has changed his board back to Vel'Koz. The Invoker synergy, a key point, is very big here because it will hopefully allow Vel'Koz to ult ever so slightly faster.
Alright, up against Easy here with the Lucian, which we'll just fill in on the scoreboard as well. Doing pretty well for themselves, currently in third place against our currently win-streaking POV player Wolf, who's said doing very well in today's competition. We do need to go check in on Mr. Duck though, because they are dangerously close to being eliminated from the competition in its entirety. Even with that 3-star misfortune, which somehow they managed to get at level 6, they are strapped for cash, they're strapped for HP. All they can hope for, I think, at this point, is to maybe sneak into 7th if they can take down Chushan before they get too full in turn.
Yeah, this is definitely a rough board here. Doesn't have a whole lot of synergies, not even forgotten for this MF. So the amount of damage coming out is still a little bit limited. The front line isn't great. This could just be the end of the line, as the Spark Slams unfortunately means that he can't get the Spear or Earth Angel's option for himself. Now the question is, what is he going to go for? And I actually like this pickup. The ZZ Rod here will provide an extra pseudo front line for him, and hopefully that can bail him out.
It's going to be incredibly important because, I mean, that's a significant increase of bodies on the board for Mr. Duck. And they need every piece of help they can get as they come into another round. They at least have made it to stage 5, but perhaps no further. This will be the Tristana comp we saw from before, coming in and delivering hellfire. Tristana working the magic on the back. The misfortune ultimates, of course, again, massively important. Does hit the Tristana, but Tristana jumps away from the main body of the Hellions, and that will mean that Mr. Duck is gone, courtesy of a hungry, hungry shark.
And there we go. We see the Hellion composition come into its own. That was the upgraded 3-star Tristana there, which is a big difference compared to 2-star, which was the last time we saw that board. But now you're looking at things starting to stabilize here. A lot of these compositions finalizing themselves, as all 3 of the boards we are looking at are actually AP boards.
Let's go look at the lowest remaining health member of that collection here, which is just with the Vel'Koz Abomination. They've got a lot of extra minions coming in, and that might be enough to make a difference Yep, keeps him alive against Mr. the Kite, who is, I believe, and I'm going to double check this actually, I should have done this before I said it. Mr. Kite is currently... I don't remember, what's their alternate name?
I don't remember what their tourney name was, but...
Oh, Quattro.
Okay.
They are currently in 8th, but they're doing very well in this lobby, so there's a maximum of 8 points available, and currently the maximum that anyone's got is 15.
It would be a bit of a climb, and you'd need a little bit of help here, given the fact that there are multiple players in contention for first, as we have Wiljevic. Easy, I believe, was 3rd or 4th, and also Wolf tied for 1st. So it's going to have to be a first coming in from Mr. Dakoit, and a lot of other situations have to help out as well. But it will be yet another win here for the Vel'Koz, and these Vel'Koz items really just destroy the board on that first ult.
Really nice stuff there. Squishy Knight is now in 7th place, close to elimination, as we'll take a look around the rest of the board a little bit. So let's see. So give you the squid.
There we go. Hits the Heimer. Looking to go, well, has the completed Zyra 3 here, but the front line's not looking too pretty. Does have a Ivern upgraded, but needs the upgraded Fiddlesticks more importantly.
Oh, was that? Sorry about this second. There we go. We got Wolf providing a little bit of color commentary as they're in the background. Alright, so we've got ourselves, you said, the 3 AP POVs. Let's check in and take a closer look at what we've got going on for Wolf here. So we still have Abomination, but we're now getting more Revenant in the mix as well to provide a secondary front line. The carry, though...
That's a Teemo carry.
Is it Teemo or is it Combo? It's going to be Teemo.
All right, interesting pickup here is, of course, the Teemo's also holding on to the Banshee's Veil, which isn't great because it caps out how much more power this Teemo can get, and it's not looking like a great fight at the moment because this Draven is sort of uncontested, but enough frontline units survive and it will be able to clutch out the win. This A-Bomb will be able to finish off the Irelia.
So yeah, this is the 3 defensive item Abomination. We've kind of, I think, brought up the whole problem of, or whole consideration, I suppose, whether or not we see a more aggressively set up Abomination to make use of its extra stats, but instead just going full defensive as Teemo 2 comes in, and I think all of our doubts may have just been silenced.
That is now a Teemo 2 obtained. Also, an interesting point is the fact that it is double Radiant Banshees on this board, so a lot of safety for everyone rather than just this Teemo. And he gets a great first cast onto the Lucian. Unfortunately, because of that Lucian, Banshee's Veil able to sustain 1 burst, but now the second one comes through, and that's really going to hamper his damage.
It gets taken down, and D-Wolf is looking in good position here to make a solid run in as Sharktail has been eliminated. Squishy Knight holds on 6 health. We are coming close to the end here. She pointed out earlier, NIT3STAR, this lobby is for first place in the competition. So it should be really exciting as we get towards our final stages.
Yeah, we're looking at Easy, we're looking at Wiljevic, and we're looking at D-Wolf as the main contenders for first place. And these items, we do have blue buff coming in for Squid. That's going to help him a lot here. And for Wolf, I believe he gets a Frozen Heart. That'll help out his front line a little bit. It's a great item for the Volibear, as he's going to be able to jump in and apply that onto the back line. And our last item, I wasn't quite sure what we had dropped for Emily. Um,
Oh,
Oh, it looks like we got a Zeke. So Zeke's isn't actually all that bad. Helps the Vel'Koz get that first cast off, the extra attack speed, and it will be this Vel'Koz taking on the Philios board. Nice little position from the Philios, and that's a
oh.
great Diana ult. And can the A-bomb clutch it out?
And we're seeing more and more, I think, as time goes by, how well the Akshan coming in there as a secondary carry along with this Aphelios is able to delete the backline carries. It's almost making this into an assassin, at least late game, it's making into something of an assassin meta, where your backline carries are not safe. They will just get deleted before they even get more than one or two casts off.
That's going to be Chush taking a big hit there. And it looks like now they are looking for 3-star Vel'Koz. Unfortunately, from this spot, it's going to be very difficult to hit 3-star Vel'Koz. You see right there, they've gone ahead, sold that Vel'Koz. And I'm not sure what they're looking for to upgrade this board at the last moment. It seems pretty capped given how much gold they're sitting on. And it's just more of a positioning battle here, realistically.
All right, so for D-Wolf, very important where we see these Teemo Shrooms go. So far, the Vel'Koz has remained untouched, and now with the front line disintegrating, that life on disintegration rate is turning towards the backline as well. Fortunately, the Monstrosity gets her in time to deny, but the Vel'Koz is still up on full health. D-Wolf is out of there. It's at least got enough health to hold on for another round, but that is a significant loss.
And that's a big win here, because now look at these next 3 spots from 4th to 6th. They are dead even, and even 3rd is starting to get to that spot. So everyone really closing in onto each other. And now we're going to go back to the Zyra 3 board. Now has the upgraded Heimer. Oh, wait, not quite upgraded Heimer, but you are able to get Hellion in now. And I wouldn't even mind rolling to see if you can get that Heimerdinger and perhaps then go ahead sell. But at this point, I would even consider selling the Heimerdinger, putting the Spellweaver spat onto Teemo, because you do have that extra Heimer.
Alright, so up here against our friends in the Ranger class. Of course, Akshan this time around doesn't actually manage to swing to the right side of the field to take Zyra out. And when that doesn't happen, suddenly we're looking at a very different story.
Yeah, it really just comes down to Akshan being able to play challenger mode. If he ends up challenger, you know, he's going to come into that backline and eat up your AP carries. But if he's not, well, if he's only plat, it's just not good enough. That's exactly what we saw there. We do see one more Spellweaver spat. That could be big here. Being able to get that onto the Teemo will be very impactful. Also, could just grab another Teemo and get Teemo too, because they are sitting at 8 HP. But they will get the Spellweaver spat instead. So I think they have 4 Spellweavers now.
They certainly will want to deploy. So, actually
yes.
deciding to go for the Gwen rather than for the Teemo there for Squishy Knight. But Wildrevik is currently in first place with 39. They are one of our 2 score leaders along with D-Wolf. If D-Wolf goes out in this next round, which is a distinct possibility, you've got 4 players on single-digit health. If D-Wolf is gone, then we pretty much got the tournament decided. Unless... oh, no, sorry, I take that back, actually. Easy is only 1 point behind. So
Easy is very close.
So this is D-Wolf, Squishy White. One of these 2 is exiting this round of play right now. This will be the last round of the competition, so this may be the last round of their tournament lives. D-Wolf is chewing through. Zyra's still up, as is the Monstrosity. It's going to come right down to the end.
Oh, D-Wolf goes out. Can he salvage any other extra placement? And he will be able to finish 4th, but that's not going to be good enough. And now we even get a Heimer 2 Wuljevic now playing for first along with Easy. And the Squishy Knight, well, looking to play a little bit of a spoiler. This is a very, very capped board, and I am loving it.
All right. We've seen some really good games of TFT up until this point, even while our players are playing it for casual prizes. The quality of the play itself has been spectacular. So Wuljevic, if they don't go down here, they pretty much secure themselves the top spot. Draven gets annihilated straight away, though. Monstrosity coming in with the free defensive items means Zyros got time to work on the back line. The turret as well, the Heimerdinger is building up, and Wuljevic takes a big L.
But now that is Easy taken out, and I believe that secures the tournament for Wuljevic. Regardless of first or second, we are going to see these Rift Herald items. It is going to be a Titan's Wrath here. That's... it's not going to be great, but now you're hoping for a Nico. If he gets a Nico here, that's going to be the upgraded Teemo. Doesn't get the Nico. No. And now we're just rolling for that Gwed.
I guess at least you can sell the Teemo for health, because yes, you can't buy the third one anymore. As the rolls end up being a little bit disappointing there. There's a lot of actions. Unfortunately, that's not for the Squishy Knight. And ultimately, they're going to have to settle for... admittedly, not a bad setup at all. The Titan Resolve, Blue Buff, and Spellweaver Spat means that Gwen, even at 1 star, is going to hit pretty hard.
Indeed. And because of the positioning here, I like this change coming in from Wuljevic, putting the Draven frontline because, of course, the Zyra targets the farthest unit away. Although it's not good enough, it's still targeting that Draven, and because of that, Draven goes down.
The Yasuo is still up for Wuljevic, though, and that's the secondary carry. Wuljevic, with that last performance, will take the very first place here today, which means they will be receiving that little legend prize. Of course, we will see if we can grab some members from our other lobby, if that's still ongoing. We'll check and see if they've reported results as of yet. Doesn't look like they have, so you might be able to... catch still a little bit more games. So let's see who we've got. Wuljevic, so that was lobby 1 we were looking at just now. So I think Emmy Louie, if I remember correctly, does have an active stream. So if we can dig out her details. Let's see, Emmy Louie, twitch.tv/Emmy Louie. There you go. I enjoy someone with unconfusing branding. Are they still live? Are they going right now? Okay, we've got an advert before we'll be able to actually get into the stream, but I believe they are still live for that second lobby, so we'll go in and find out what's happening with them as well before we get our final results. But as you said, with our leaders being all in one lobby for our final game, we've unusually for TFT actually been able to call our winner before having to do a series of long tiebreakers and adjustment of results from multiple different lobbies.
Yeah, we won't really have to wait any longer, as Wuljevic was in contention for first, and he took first at the end. So at best, someone would only be able to tie him, but the only person that could tie him was D-Wolf, and he went out earlier in the lobby.
All right, we'll ditch the scoreboard for now and just catch the tail end of things here, because it looks like we've actually got a fair amount of game left here between our remaining players. So Minilinks and Jen, who I think was a non-tournament player, being knocked out early on. Believin is rocking the top of the lobby right now. Emmy Louie, who we'll be spending most of our time with the solid Forgotten lineup here, with a decent amount of Ironclad in as well.
Ironclad, of course, great in AD lobbies. I'm not sure if the rest of the lobby is quite there, but currently backlining Draven and MF. So these MF items are really nice. Unfortunately, though, the Draven is going to have to walk up. That could prove to be a little bit detrimental depending on the matchup, and it's going to be a mirror matchup, Pete.
Yeah, and we've got a strong Draven and a strong Misfortune, though Misfortune does get caught up and dragged into the center. Both of these players carries are staying up. It looks like Way Too Slick's front line is a little bit stronger. Good knock up there. Could be the difference maker, but the Draven drops. Misfortune is hooked, and it's all over. Emmy, you can see the sadness in their emotes. But they don't have so much to be sad about because they are still alive.
Alive, but staring down the barrel of a fifth. And I mean, the comparison is just, while they were mirror compositions, you look at the itemization on both of those carries, and it's just such a stark difference. And looking at Leaving's board, he is currently playing the Renewers, so it's not Renew, but rather it's Renew Sedge. Yeah.
Yes, not all of these combinations have great team names together. So always have to watch out for that. Mr. Duck 3/8 Pog. Well, hey, Mr. Duck, you could still be a winner here today. And of course, thank you for being a long-term and very entertaining player who looks after a lot of our new players coming in, which is very, very much appreciated. Unfortunately, for Emmy, they're going to have to face down a 2-star, ferocious-looking Kale, though the front line is disappearing. There is a Guardian Angel that's going to be procced. I don't actually think there's maybe enough damage to take Kale down. We'll res up, but that full form is there. The hook is last second. Guardian Angel is still good. It's going to be tight. Sapphire is still alive, but barely.
Oh my god, Sapphire just narrowly loses that fight. And oh man, Emmy, Louis low rolls these Jax items. You would love to have these items for the next round. Having that extra shrouded, also the Banshees, it's real tough to see those items coming out. But regardless, this is a very, very difficult lobby to try and win out. We have the set on full items as well, so full sports mode activated for Leaving, as I believe that's what the set comp is called. But a big pickup there. Hey, you get upgraded Nautilus too. Definitely a lot of extra CC potential.
Ice Cream Cone coming in for Emmy Louis there. That Chalice getting a bit of extra AP. I think Emmy making the decision here of where they're going to end up putting that one, because they've got a few different people who will benefit from the AP. Looks like the Draven will actually miss out on it ever so slightly, so that's a little less damage on those axes as they're up against Extreme Ways, who's got an absolute AD carry squad. Misfortune's going to get taken out early on. I think it's all over for Emmy.
Emmy will go down. We'll need a little bit of help here from Sapphire to finish in the 4th spot, and I don't think it's going to happen.
Oh.
Sapphire -9, hold on to 4th.
All right, let's update you guys as to where our players in this lobby are standing overall. So Leaving came into this one as 5th, so they should be able to extend their position quite nicely. Extreme Ways came in as 11th, and Way Too Slick. Let's see, where are they on their 9th? So Leaving definitely the best position to take a leap up the table, though as we said, the first place is I think too far out of reach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Leaving in a great spot to win, as he has now hit 6 renewers, so more than enough beef, and also 4 brawlers, so this is about as capped of a board as you can get with this composition.
Alright, so Leaving, who's apparently away, but seems to be with us here today, thankfully, gets the Akshan onto the backline, which immediately removes one of the carries. Does have to deal with that big beefy Set, who is up to full capacity now, and blows Akshan up!
The 2 brawlers up at the front, just too much to deal with. It's that Set, and it's that Sejuani that is just bopping everyone in this composition. And it will be another member to drop. Sapphire takes, well, Sapphire went out earlier, but now we do have Draven 3 with these great Draven items. You can backline Draven with the RFC, and that's going to be really difficult to deal with as the brawler composition because you don't have a lot of resistances. You just have a lot of health, and I'm not sure if that's enough.
So leaving here with the 6 renewer you mentioned before, so relying pretty heavily on having a very, very resilient frontline. Soraka with only a couple of items there.
Oh, wait.
It's going to get blown up. Draven is still alive on the backline. That's like rapid fire can you mentioned before, but no, gets blown up. So Soraka is still tanky enough. Or is she? It's going to be really close here. Leaving. Finally, it takes the win there against Way Too Slick, but it was by the smallest of possible margins.
And I'm not sure if Way Too Slick had any regen for his Draven. I didn't see any in his itemization. It just comes down to a matter of, did he have a Legionnaire champion? And I don't think he did. And it's going to be the Renewer spat denied. Denied from leaving. There's he could have chose to then drop one of these renewers, but he's plenty strong at the moment.
That's one of the things I wouldn't mind seeing in future TFT sets, was more direct interaction with other players in that kind of way, because this is a really specific situation where actually hate drafting items away from other people does make a degree of sense, but most of the time you just care about yourself too much to really make that worthwhile. I can see a world in which TFT had much more of that kind of interaction where you're really paying attention to what everyone else is doing and trying to actively sabotage it. But either way, leaving here on 54, if they can win out, I think they're pretty much done with this lobby. Akshan's getting some good work done, but as we've seen, that set is a monster. It's like that. It's like Lord of the Rings, seeing Sauron smashing through the field. You're just waiting for the hammer to drop, and Extreme Waves gets annihilated. The Way Too Slick did survive to see the final round.
Way Too Slick, of course, having that the 4 Ironclad could look to drop 1 or 2 of these, in my opinion, to try and get that Legionnaire bonus. He really would love to have that for this Draven, because at the moment, there's just way too much damage that he has to get through. And of course, plenty of heal cut as well. So maybe saying, hey, even if I do get a little bit of healing, it's not going to be enough because he has a Morello and he has a Heimerdinger.
So I may have overstated saying this is the final round, of course, because Way Too Slick could, if they win out here, they'll get a chance to get the extra items from our good friend, the Rift Herald, which will be coming in next round. It's just going to be a case of whether or not the Draven can stay up. As you can see, there's no sustain coming in, and Draven is out of there. So leaving with a very strong performance, catapults themselves from 5th place. I presume that's going to actually shoot them up, maybe even to amongst the top 3.
I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up 2nd here, as that is a fat 8 points achieved. And today we saw 2 Draven 3s, and both Draven 3s weren't able to secure first in the lobby. I'm not sure if that says anything about Draven, or if it just says, like, maybe Draven 3 is just a fake unit.
I think that's the only conclusion which I can come to as well. We'll take a look over that first lobby and see. Wildervik with the Yasuo win there. We talked about this being, kind of a top 4 composition, but this is, I think, the first time I can remember for a while they actually made it all the way there, perhaps courtesy of having 4 3-star units.
The upgraded units definitely helps a lot. I loved his final positioning as well, making sure that the Draven was not lined up behind the Yasuo, because we saw in a previous fight, that's what went wrong. The Zyra automatically targets the furthest unit, so it targeted the Draven, and because Yasuo was in front of it, it ended up taking way too much damage at the same time, so he loses both carries, Whereas this time around, he has the Draven positioned a lot further away. That means even though Draven does go down, the Yasuo is there, still there to carry out the rest of the fight.
All right, so we'll just wait on final official confirmation of our second lobby results there to see how everything plays out. Let's see. All right, so it sounds like we have got our final results in. Yes, they have been confirmed. So I'm just going to see if I can gather everybody for our results reveal and, of course, giveaways. So let's see. Tournament 23 participants, please gather to twitch.tv/counterfeitcast for the final results and giveaways. Next tournament will be on the 23rd of October. Alright, so let's officially unveil our results. I mean, our players can just go find these for themselves, but it's more fun if they don't. Alright, so let's do this quick fire, because we've got a fair amount of people playing. So let's bring this across onto screen. Is that showing up alright? It is. Alright, so let's go back and forth on these NIT3STAR. So, in last place, Mr. Duck, with a sterling performance, locks down 3 points.
Not much to add there.
No, let's go quick. Let's go quick, because we got a lot of people. Alright, you go. Huh.
Oh, I'm supposed to go.
Yeah!
Okay. You're going to have to zoom in just a little bit for me, Pete.
It hurts!
It's MDX Devoid with 7 points, coming in 14th.
Alright, Shark Tale Movie just above with 9 points. A great name, but unfortunately not unable to get further up.
Kushinachi at 11 points, finishing at 12th, although it is in a tie.
Yes, tied with Emmy Louie, same amount of points. With this, honestly, it's always a good sign when you can remember specific plays from specific players, because both of them putting on some very strong performances, and I think that's a testament to how competitive it's been today.
And coming in 10th, tied, I would say, for 9th, is Give You the Squid. We saw him run I believe, the 5 Draconics as long as possible, so at least going out on a fun note.
Yeah, it's tied with Mini Links, and then we got Quattro up there just ahead in 8th place. But then we start to really get into our top 8 from there on.
Got Sapphire Mist in extreme ways, 6th and 7th there, 16 and 15 points, and man, way too slick coming in 5th, 17, just barely misses the top 4 cut.
Yeah, D-Wolf and Easy sharing the 3rd place before we get to our final 2, and then it's what we called before, but I think Lever making a good jump up there, harder than we even expected.
Leaving, taking first in the last lobby of Lobby 2, gets to that 8 points, jumps from 13 to 21, and finishes in 2nd.
All right, and of course, our champion today, Wildrevik. Let's make it official by giving them the role in the server. Where have you gone, Wildrevik? Where are you hiding? You must be, there you go. So, role is now current TFT champion. I'll give you previous champion as well for when we pass that across. So, congratulations, Wildrevik. You get to sit at the top of the pile. So, let's start putting in the results here. So, our first result will be Wildrevik is our tournament winner. So, for all of you guys who are winning, please do throw me a DM to get the prizes sorted out. Yes, Emily Wildrevik is number 1. So, next up, we're going to go on to Wheel of Names. And we're going to start going through our other players. So, let's see. So, I believe we'll be able to pick up from our user archive the players who are playing today. So, we will take Wildrevik out of this particular one. This will be for our other Little Legend prize. NIT3STAR, would you mind counting us in?
Oh, I'm doing a countdown. All right,
Yes.
3, 2, 1.
Ah!
Spin.
Ooh.
That. Does that sound like a Wheel of Fortune spin?
It sounds like the squid, but no, it's actually the sound of a Mr. Duck coming in. Congratulations, Mr. Duck, for being our Little Legend prize winner. And thanks to Maisie Marzipan, this is going to be an enhanced Little Legend prize for today. So congratulations, Mr. Duck. You'll be getting it 10 times as many Little Legends as you would otherwise. I think they are Series 1, but at least there's a lot of them. So that takes us through our Little Legend prizes. So let's just bring up on the screen again what our prizes are to remind me as well. So we've got our random player who gets 730 RP, our random pick from the streamers, and our random pick from the people who responded to the survey. So let's first of all get ourselves sorted out with a random pick from the tournament itself. So we will reinsert Wildvik for this one. They can potentially win. Just make sure that Mr. Duck is still in the mix as well. Are they? Yes, they are. Okay. So, could you count us in once more with all the hype you can muster?
3,
Oh.
1. No wheel.
Fantastic. This is for our random player, our pre-prize. It's looking like it's going to be Quattro. Congratulations, Quattro, for being our random participant prize. Let's see, what's Quattro down as? They are a different one. Mr. Dacoit, there we go, is our random RP prize winner. So, on to our next giveaway, which will be our stream giveaway. And thank you guys so much for the follows. Let's just see who is doing that. It's Lunalia and Willovic. Oh, thank you for the sub as well. Willovic, that was very generous of you. Give you the squid. Thank you for the follow. Right, let's get Quattro noted down so I can do these a little bit later on today, hopefully, if I get it. So there, Mr. Coit, random RP prize winner. So where are we now on the prizes? We are on streamers. So fortunately, Rain did do a list of people who are actively streaming today. So we'll put those in and replace our current players and see who we've got. So thank you to everybody who provided streams. We cannot run these competitions without streams. And it's gonna be Squidgy Night. Give me the squid. Let's see. Give you the squid. Are they down there or Squishy Night? Who are they? There we go. It's our streamer RP winner. Congratulations, Squishy Night, which means we've got just one left. That's what makes going to make use of the emotes. Yes, I'm quite happy with those ones, honestly. So we've got a let's see, our last giveaway, which will be based on the feedback form. So we've had 7 people respond. Let's throw them in there and see from our feedback respondents who is going to get the last bit of RP. I realize, actually, we didn't do the countdown, never mind. Sapphire Mist will be our streamer winner. Sorry, our feedback winner. I do apologize. There we go. So that's all 5 of our prizes deployed for today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, we will be returning. Let's just come back to our camera scene for a second once I remember to put my lights back on. There we go. Ahem. Production being done by one person. It's not the best, necessarily. And DeWolf, thank you for the host. That's very generous of you. Let's see if we can find ourselves a friend to pass you all across to. So, normally it's Improbable Blob if they are streaming, and they are. I will have a... Let's see. They are... Yeah, why not? I think last time round we went to someone random, so we try and alternate between Improbable Blob as best friend of the stream and someone random just so we can meet some new people, but I don't think we've done Blob for a little while. So, again, 2 weeks time for the next competition. I will be throwing up the sign-up link for that relatively soon, as you guys can sign up if you want to. But for now, let's go check out Improbable TFT. NIT3STAR, thank you so much for joining us here today. You've done a fantastic job on the desk. And I know while they're not here now, a shout out to Rain, our admin, and Skellig, of course, our head admin for getting things set up and running smoothly behind the scenes. Let's see, is the raid ready to go? I think so. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks' time for our next Counterfeits Casual competition. And we are now officially raiding, I think. Hopefully. There we go.
We value your privacy.
Apparently. Has it gone through? Yeah, there we go. I think the raid did just come in because Blob's viewers just jumped up. Oh. All right. Well, yeah, really nice job today, man. Like, it's always a little bit dicey with this one that I've